Hello everybody and welcome to part 1 of the question and answer video for 2,000 videos. Yep, that's right. Just a few days ago I hit the milestone of 2,000 videos and decided to celebrate with a little Q&A, which I have not done on Bone Canoe 86 in about 5 years. So I thought that today was the day, so I thought I'd do it. I'll be reading these questions in order of oldest to newest, at least as far as YouTube tells me. You know, YouTube can be a little funny about such things, just as they're a little bit funny about letting me know exactly how many videos I have. But we will be getting to the questions, and why don't I take these off? I'll put these down here, and you know what? This video is brought to you by my hat. It's what's on your head. Okay. Well, we are going to begin with, let's see here. Yes. Digger John says, Bone, happy MM. Not a question, but I just felt I would read that because people were asking what MM means, and that is Roman numerals for 2000. And the reason that's significant is anyone who has been around since the early days of my channel know that I used to number my videos in Roman numerals, and I did that because I was emulating the great Sir Ron Lionheart. That was my meaning. Of course, it confused a bunch of people, and it also confused the YouTube algorithm, and it made it difficult for people to know what video was next. So I think sometime around 2011 or maybe even in 2010, I largely abandoned the Roman numeral counting system. But I do miss doing that, and I almost went back to it for The Sims 3, but then I didn't. This video also brought to you by Coffee and the fine makers of this thermos, which is very good. Okay, Storks Fan 2001 asks, are you going to upload more Sims 3 videos? Okay guys, if it's only been a couple days since the last video of any particular series, there's no reason to get worried that I'm not going to upload more. I mean, if it's been a couple weeks, it's alright to be like, yeah, where's whatever it is that I'm looking for. But don't worry, Sims 3 is still coming. I'm still going to be making those videos. I'm not making them as much as I was back in the summer and early fall because I was cranking them out at a machine gun rate, and you could even say I was making them too fast because people were unable to catch up with all of them, I think. So now we are sort of progressing at a more leisurely pace, I guess you could say. And if there is anyone out there who wants to get into my Sims 3 series or is curious about it but is intimidated by the sheer number of videos, I just want to say that generally it's the kind of series where you can pop in at any point and be pretty much know what's going on. You know, you don't need to know the backstory of the families and all that. But having said that, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll make an introductory video for those curious about my Sims 3 content but want to know what's happened before and just want to jump in. That could be fun. You know, talk a little bit about Adeline and Olivia and Trevor and William and what they're like and, you know, what the past was like. You know, could be an idea. Tell me if you want that, by the way. This is an interactive experience, I think I should point out. It's not just me talking, but it's you responding to what I am saying, and then I better know what to do in the future. And, you know, goes back and forth like that. It's why YouTube is better than TV, because we can interact directly like this. Alright. Magoo500 asks, He has a pretty long question. How long do you plan to grow that magnificent beard? I remember first finding you when I was 8 years old when you started up your Sims 2 Let's Play. Now, I just gotta point out that I really like reading comments like this, especially people who say that, like, oh, I was a kid, or I was 8 years old when I first started watching your videos, because it really puts into perspective just how long I've been doing this, and just how much my videos have been part of people's lives, and it really makes me happy when I see somebody who was around since, a young age and still around. It just makes me happy. So, I watched that, your Sims 2 Let's Play, all the way to the end. Sad it never finished. I saw that you also played Minecraft and was like, wow, this guy plays it too. That's when I watched your channel for the other content like SimCity 4. You and Wowzers got me hooked on that game. Shout out to Wowzers. Haven't heard that name in a while. Hope he's doing okay. I remember watching you stream and actually got to chat with you and thought it was pretty cool. I noticed your channel started to die, meaning that long periods of no uploads kind of made me think you stopped. Was happy to see you get back into it. Thought while I don't comment much, I still watched. The times I commented, I was under the name Nadio1111 years ago. Now I hope you do this for at least another 2 years, so it would be 10 years since I found and watched you. Sorry for such a long comment. I just wanted to know you impacted my life a bit. Keep going. Well, Magoo500, I really appreciate that comment, and it is comments like that tell me that even though my channel is very small, and is indeed much smaller than it once was, and it never was that big, that there are people still watching, and there are people who still enjoy what I do. And during times where I think about, stopping, and those times do happen, I think back to comments like this, and it gives me incentive to keep going. But the question you asked was, how long do I plan on growing this beard? Well, first off, this month is the 2-year anniversary of when I started growing this beard, and I'm not really sure exactly the rate that it grows, but I'm thinking that it's I'd say about half an inch a month, maybe a little bit less, but that means after 2 years, if you use that calculation, it should be a foot long by now. It's not a foot long, but, it's... The thing is, these hairs are tightly curled, so if you stretch one out to its fullest, it's pretty long. As for how long I'm going to grow, well, I'm definitely going to keep going throughout the winter, but I might keep going, who knows? Am I going to let it grow until it's sort of like ISIS Al-Qaeda length? Maybe. I don't know. I am sort of torn between several worlds when it comes to this beard. I mean, I'm very proud of it. There are very few people who have a beard like this, and it just gives a very striking look. It makes me look distinct from everyone else, and I do like that. On the other hand, it does make me look like kind of unkempt in a way. I mean, I try to care for it in certain ways. I don't use any beard products, It's kind of funny. Facebook is getting very smart. It detects that I have a beard, so I get a whole bunch of advertisements for beard products. So maybe I will be trying one, who knows, but I just don't want to shave it off at this point. If I ever do shave it off, and I don't think I'll have this beard for the rest of my life, but if I ever do, it might be fun to go in the complete opposite direction and, keep my hair short and dress like, very properly, just to go to the entire other end of the spectrum. But I think, for now at least, the beard is going to stay, and it's going to keep growing, and we'll see what we're at by the spring. And that's when I'll make the decision to keep growing or to trim, but I don't feel any desire at this moment, really, to go back to being clean-shaven. Okay. Red Mage Games says, nice milestone. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am. Probably sir. But thank you for that. Alright. Jose and 97 asks, what would it be like to live in Mars? And that's a fun question to think about, because, who knows, we might be going to Mars in a few decades here. Now, in order to be able to live on Mars, you obviously can't live out in the open like we can. I mean, even if they found a way to make the Mars atmosphere breathable, it is only 1/100th of the pressure of Earth, or something like that. Definitely not enough air to sustain our respiration, So, pretty much, people would be living either underground or in dome structures and terrariums and things like that. And living on Mars would be a pretty rough life, because, number one, you'd constantly be worried about if you had enough air, if you were able to grow enough food. I mean, we take for granted the abundance that we have here on Earth, but having all that on Mars would be very difficult. And the thing is, here on Earth, there are environmental hazards for sure, like you could fall in a river or, get crushed by falling rocks or whatever, but on Mars, you go out the wrong airlock and you're dead in like seconds because you just can't breathe. And also keeping yourself warm enough, keeping the place warm enough. But I actually think that it could be awesome. Despite being hard, I think the effort of colonizing a new world would breed a tougher breed of humans, because it's pretty easy on Earth for people who aren't that tough to survive, because, like I said, we have a lot of abundance just naturally, and also man-made abundance. If that ever comes to Mars, it's going to be many generations after we settle and develop it. So for the first several centuries, I think, only the tough will survive on Mars, and it will be the breeding ground for the toughest people. And we could see, like, if there were enough people on Mars, and this went on long enough, they could be, like, I don't want to say the best of humanity, but they might be, They might be the smartest, the toughest, the people, while everyone on Earth is, freaking out about the little things, people on Mars will just be the most clear-headed people, because they know what's important, because in their lives they grew up knowing if they did anything to jeopardize their fragile environment, they would be screwed immediately. So they didn't have time to worry about silly, trivial things. So they're going to be probably most level-headed. I would imagine that we could have, like, Mars being the tech capital of humanity in the future, just because the people there, I mean, they wouldn't be able to export food, they'd be able to export ideas, and they'd be pretty damn smart, I would think. So, and I think it would also be awesome, just because, well, for one thing, Mars is easier to get off of than the Earth, obviously because of the lower gravity. It's not as easy as the Moon, but it is easier than Earth. So, in terms of if there's further colonization of the solar system, Mars would be better connected to all of that than the Earth would. So it could be sort of like a way station, in a way, for other activities. So I think that would be pretty fun. And if there was a question, if somebody said, hey, Bone, would you like to go to Mars? I'd be like, hell yeah, I would. Why not? I think that would be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I don't really have any skills that would help a Martian expedition or colonization as of this point, but why not? Why not do it? Okay. Well, we have 4 questions here by Windsor21. And so I think we are going to tackle them for the end of part 1 of these answer videos. So here we go. Been watching you since I was 10 years old playing Civ 3. I'm almost 19 and I still watch you. By far my favorite small channel Let's Player. Keep it up, man. I really appreciate that, sir. Windsor21, I really do appreciate that. So question 1. What game would you say that you have played the most of in your entire life, added up time, and would continue to play to this day? You know, I really wish that there was some objective way for me to know the answer to that, but there are a few candidates. Number 1, Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, if you sort of condense the Genesis games into one game, but even if we don't do that, if we just say Sonic 3 and Knuckles, that's a possibility. Been playing that since it came out in the early 90s. It's been almost 25 years. And still play it to this day sometimes. That's a contender. Civilization 3, absolutely. I've been playing that since 2002, and I only stopped playing it regularly maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and now I'm back to playing it for my channel. So yeah, many thousands of hours playing that game. I cannot understate how much I played that game in the later half of high school, throughout college, in my early 20s. You know, by the time that I started my YouTube channel and did Civ 3, I had already been playing the game for quite some time, so it's definitely a contender. Also, SimCity, the thing is, like, it's very much split between 2000, 3000, and 4. If you were to include them all together, that might win, but that, once again, is cheating. So, I played it's very hard to understate how much I played SimCity 2000 between the ages of 9 and, let's say, like 18 or 19. It's a massive amount of SimCity 2000, which might actually make it a contender. 3000, I played a lot, but not enough to put it in that category. SimCity 4 might be in that category. I played it an awful lot. And hey, just the time I played it on camera was quite a lot, and I played it a lot before that too, but I still don't think it's as much as Civilization 3. The Sims, possibly, but, you know, interestingly, when I first started my Sims 2 Let's Play in 2009, I hadn't played The Sims 2 in over a year at that point. So, as much as I have played The Sims quite a lot, I don't think it either reaches the level of Civ 3. Minecraft, yes, a lot of Minecraft, but I've gone through lots of periods where I haven't played Minecraft, and it's only been since 2011, so it doesn't have the history of time of everything else. So, if I had to pick from all those options, I think the answer would be Civ 3. I'm going to say that right now. Civ 3 is the game that I've clocked more hours playing than any other video game throughout my life. I think that's actually a pretty safe statement to make. Okay, question 2. What is your employment history, educational history, relationship history? Would you ever consider finding a woman? Now that's a lot of questions wrapped up in one part of one post, but, well, if you're curious, over on Sudden Plant, I had a series called The All, which was largely political, but it also touched on other topics, including personal topics. And if you want more in-depth answers to a lot of these questions, go check out The All, in particular episode 4, I believe it was. You'll have a lot of information about this in episode 4. And there was also another episode where I talked about this a lot, but I forget which one it is. But number 4 is a good place to start for that. But I'll briefly answer this here. For employment history, I've worked for 5 different companies in my life. I don't want to go and run down them all necessarily, just for privacy reasons, but I will say my first job was at Kmart when I was 19, and I was an overnight stock person, and I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I don't think you understand the level of shut-in I was as a kid. You know, I like, department stores were just so, like, foreign to me that I saw, you know, like an item to put away, and I had no idea where to find it. And it was just a disaster. I was only there for about 2 months, and then I left to go back to college, and I quit, and I never came back. I also worked at Target for about a year, and that job actually went pretty well. I liked working at Target. I worked in the back room, not overnight, but during the day. And that was a few years later when I was 21 and 22. I worked at Target. That was pretty good. I also worked at Starbucks for a little bit less than a year in late 2013, early 2014. And that was a dumpster fire. That was a complete disaster. It did not work out at all for me, my job at Starbucks. And it really sucked because I went into it with a lot of optimism, and I thought it would be something I would be really good at, but they just didn't give me a chance. You have to know, they give you no time at all to learn literally dozens of drinks, and they never gave me enough time to practice, and they gave up on me very early, and I strung along for many months, longer than I possibly should have at that job. It's kind of silly. But that is over. Possibly the most well-known job that I've worked at is, of course, Wawa. I worked at Wawa for 6 years between 2 time periods. It was the job I was working at for most of my Bone Canoe history. My second stint at Wawa began the same week that I started my Bone Canoe 86 channel. And for those of you who don't know what a Wawa is, which I assume is probably most of you, unless you've heard it from me, it's basically a really awesome kind of convenience store that has a gas station, and it also has like a deli, and has coffee, has all sorts of awesome things, and it's a local staple of the Philly area, and it's only in 6 states, now including Florida. So that is pretty much the biggest thing I was known for doing. So anyway, educational history. Well, I graduated high school rather in 2004. So a little over 13 years ago now. I went to college. I went to Kutztown University for 2 years, but then dropped out. To be honest, I had no idea why I was even there. I was only in college basically because people went to college. That's just what you did, you know? And I used to regret dropping out. Now I kind of regret going at all, you know? Not because of bad experiences, because I actually had a lot of very formative experiences in my 2 to 3 years at Kutztown. But, you know, unless you're going for a STEM field, college is, by and large, a waste of time and a waste of money these days. It's just a big scam. So if you're a young person there and you're thinking of whether or not you should go to college, really think about what you're going for. And if it's not something that you absolutely need a degree in, or it's not something that is a very highly technical STEM field, there's a good chance you're wasting your time. So just think about that. But yeah, dropped out at the end of 2006, and, well, have not been in education ever since. Relationship history. Once again, check out the All episode 4 for more about this. I have been single for a very long time now, and I had a girlfriend back in the day, but like I said, that was a long time ago. That was when I was still in college. So, yeah, it's been over a decade. Yeah, but that story, I never told that complete story, and I'm not sure if I'm going to. One day I might. but it's all there at the All if you want to check it out. I mean, not all of it, but a good portion of it. And would I ever consider finding a woman? Well, yeah, ideally I would love to be married and have a family, but the problem is, right now, I don't make a great amount of money. So it's one of those things where I have to put myself in the point of view of a hypothetical woman. If she was looking at me, would she really see a stable future with me? Would she be able to see someone who would be able to provide for her an income that would keep her secure and allow her to raise a family without fear of, hardships? And I don't know that the answer is yes right now. I don't really know that I have enough to offer a woman right now. So that's why I am not really seeking out a relationship at this current moment. I did actually ask a girl out just a couple months ago. Fun fact. She worked at my work. She was quite a bit younger than me. She was, I think, 21. And I'm 31. So that's kind of like on the line of whether it's too much of an age gap. Of course, it's legal and perfectly fine. But, when there's too much of an age gap, there can be a little bit of the question of being at different points in your life and being in different mindsets. But I think it could have worked in that case. And in any case, I'm going to need to most likely marry somebody quite a bit younger than me if I want to have a family, just because a woman my age is already, her fertility is dropping and it's going to be going through the floor after 35, and I ideally want at least 4 kids. Seriously, I do. And that's a minimum too. I would be willing to go higher, but 4 is the lowest I want to go. But as it turned out, this girl already had a boyfriend, so no hard feelings. We're still on friendly terms, but I've moved on. I've written off that possibility. But like I said, I'm not really seeking a relationship right now, just for the reasons that I stated before. But it would be nice. It really would. And finally, number 4, would you consider playing any new strategy-esque games? EU4, RimWorld, Prison Architect, maybe a different genre. I would honestly I honestly would watch you play anything. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And as for strategy games, I tried playing EU3 back in 2011 and a few times after that. And that game is just so damn hard. It's just so confusing. I just couldn't get it. And the thing is, I really wanted to get it because that's the kind of strategy game that I've been wanting to play for pretty much my entire life. And then I get it, and I have no idea what I'm doing. The thing about me is I'm a very slow learner. It's very hard for me to get into new games. I mean, I played Civ 3 for like 13 years before my buddies Dwyron and Digger John pulled me screaming and kicking into the world of Civ 5, and it took me a very long time, like dozens of hours of gameplay, before I felt remotely comfortable in that game. And now, of course, I love Civ 5, but yeah, for me to get to play a new game is very it takes me a long time to adapt to something new. But I really would like to play EU4. If it goes on sale, I might buy it. I'd love to learn it, but that's a big time investment because I am a slow learner. I am thick as a brick, as they say, and it takes me a long time to learn. As for these other games, I'm willing to give anything a try, but it's the same problem. It takes me a long time to learn anything, and also, one thing I've noticed historically on Bone Canoe 86, if I play anything out of the Civ / City Builder / Sims paradigm. If I play anything that's too far outside of any of the 3 games, people generally just don't care and they don't watch. I mean, take a look at my look at my videos and take a look at the view count on some of my Fallout New Vegas videos. There are literally videos in there with 1 view, and there are very few that have more than 10. And I'm sure most of those clicks were people clicking by accident or clicking on and then quickly clicking off. And I'm pretty sure that 1 view video that sits there was just me checking to make sure that it uploaded correctly. So yeah, I have a bad history with trying to play things outside of those 3 genres or those 3 franchises. So it's and I'm not really attracting new people at this point. I mean, let's be honest. The way that YouTube has changed, it's very hard for channels like mine to be noticed. So most of the people watching have been watching for a long time, as you are, and Magoo500 and everyone else who commented about the fact that they've been watching for a long time. But I mean, that in itself is not a reason to not play something new. I would absolutely love to try EU4, but it's going to be a train wreck and it's going to take a long time for me to learn. But maybe I'll do it. I'll consider it. But anyway, that does bring us to the end of part 1. There's going to be several more parts. I just want to say thank you for leaving your questions, and I want to make an offer that questions are still open. In the past, when I started making answer videos, I've closed the questions and say, okay, that's it. Anything that's been asked by now will be answered, but nothing new. But not this time. I'm willing to take further questions if you have any, if you thought of anything new since I posted the video. If you have any follow-up questions based on anything that I've said, if you're curious about anything at all, I am still accepting more questions. So, that's it for part 1, and I'll see you for more parts very soon.